Banner Knowledge Bowl and Steve here coming at you, and we got a new series here that we're going to do. I'm going to call it the Mid-Season Check-In, answering your questions and things that I've been asked in League. But before we get started, you're not a subscriber, please do so. Like, share, comment, and get a friend to subscribe. That way we can grow the channel and spread the knowledge. All right, let's jump into this episode. And what I want to talk about today, specifically mid-season check-in, is why am I leaving a 10 pin? And what I'm seeing most are flat 10s. So what happens is when you leave a flat 10, that's the kind of 10 pin where that 6 pin kind of goes in the channel and lays there. There's not a lot of energy, and it looks like when the ball's going through the pocket, it hits the pocket, it deflects right and kind of leaves the deck through the 9 pin. Now I'm going to throw up here, why don't I strike? And it was some videos that I did talking about the anatomy of a strike and how we can increase our strike percentage. Check that out because it's great information. But to come back to our conversation, they say, Steve, I hit the pocket, I'm leaving these flat 10s, I don't know what to do, so I want to give you the fix. So to give you the fix, let's go into the anatomy of a flat 10. What happens is the ball enters the pocket and it deflects to the right. And when it leaves the deck from hitting the pocket, it looks like it's leaving the deck over top of the 9 pin or moving right towards that 10 pin. So it hits the pocket and it moves right. What happens is the ball hits the head pin first and deflects right. It hits more of the center of the 3 pin, causing the 3 pin to go straight back. On a well-thrown shot, the ball won't deflect that much after hitting the 1 pin, and it'll catch the 3 pin more on the left side, sending it more to the right. So, going back, the ball hit the pocket, it deflected right, it's hitting the 3 pin straight back. If we hit the 3 pin going more straight back, it's going to hit the 6 pin on the very left side of it and kind of cut it to the right. It's going to cut in front of the 10 pin with not a lot of energy and tend to lay in the channel. So that's a flat 10. So how do we fix it? The way we're going to fix it is when the ball enters the pocket, we don't want it to deflect to the right. We want it to enter the pocket, and when it leaves the deck, we want it to seem like it's leaving the deck right around 19. The ball will actually hit the very left side of the 9 pin, and this will give us our highest carry percentage. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk a little bit about league shots, and let's talk about the environments that we're typically bowling in. For the league shots, especially in my area, I'm going to call them their typical house shots. They're 8 to 1, 10 to 1, 12 to 1, maybe even more than that ratio. So there's plenty of friction as we get closer to the gutter, and there's plenty of oil in the middle. What is happening is the ball is getting into the friction way too soon, and the ball is getting into the roll stage way too soon, and it's bleeding off energy. You know, to have that perfect strike, we want the ball when it is completely out of balance, when we let go of it, and it's going through its procession, physics term, as it's going down the lane, it's trying to get back into balance. And that's that skid, the hook, the roll that I've talked about before with regards to ball motion. So at that very moment, when it goes from hook to roll, when it's out of balance, going back into balance, it's its most powerful, and we want that to happen right at the pins. And what's happening for the most part is the ball is getting into the friction way too soon, and it's in the roll stage too long, and it's deflecting when it hits the pocket and it's going to the right. So the question then becomes, what's the right adjustment? I'm going to throw this up here. I talk about the 5 adjustments, and I go into, again, great detail. Check that out. It's great information. But very quickly, how do we get the ball further down the lane? Well, we can do a couple of things. We can move our feet and target left and find more oil so the ball gets down the lane further before it starts getting in, hooking and getting into its roll stage. We can change our release, maybe come up, around the side of the ball more to get it further down the lane and create more motion on the back part of the lane. We can change the speed. So there's a couple of different things we can do, but let me say this. When we're in leagues, we get all the free friction to the right. We're managing the friction, right? So what people tend to do is they're like, oh, I'm leaving this flat 10 and there's not a lot of energy. I'm going to increase the rev rate and I'm going to go with the stronger ball. And that's actually the opposite, because that's going to make the ball roll even sooner and be in the roll stage even longer. So again, let's think about this. We need to get the ball further down the lane before it goes through its procession. It's getting into the friction too soon, and it's getting into the roll stage too soon, and when it hits the pocket, it bled off all its energy. We need to get it further down the lane. So we may need to look for bowling balls with higher RGs, maybe less surface on the bowling balls, or releases that will allow us to get the ball further down the lane. I would also argue sometimes we get a new ball and we drill it really strong, and that's great, except if we have all this friction, it's just going to get into that roll stage too long. Maybe explore some longer pin to pap layouts and some different ways to help you retain energy a little bit longer, so that when the ball hits the pocket, it's not deflecting to the right. I'm here to tell you, when we throw a great shot and the ball hits the pocket and goes right, it's not that you threw it bad, it's just that it got into that roll stage too soon. So let's make a change. Maybe with the drilling, maybe with the ball, where we're standing, maybe our release, could be the speed. But let's make that change so we can get it further down the lane, so when it hits the pocket, it leaves the deck right around 19. You won't leave those flat 10s and your carry percentage will go way up. Hope this helped. Have any questions? Put them down below. Would like ideas for future episodes? Put them down there and we'll chat about it. Thanks a lot.